Rich's take on it here. Go ahead, Rich.
I always start out today talking about this winter wheat situation and this moisture idea. I get to see what's going on here. In terms of winter wheat, we have two main varieties, hard red and soft red. Just want to point out to some of the new people here exactly what's growing where. In the plain states, we have the hard red. Hard red is the majority of all winter wheat. As far as, in fact, down here it says that 42% of all wheat is hard red winter. It's actually a little higher here these days. So the large portion of wheat is this plain states right here. And as you can see, plant in the fall, and we harvest looks around here June and July. Soft red, we do plant this on the pretty much all on the Mississippi River and into the Ohio River Basin here. So pretty much this is the soft red area where we trade the Chicago contract here. So that's where we have the wheat at in terms of what's going on recently or in the weather side of things. The long-term drought monitor, and this is more of a long-term, like a six-month type of a drought gauge right here. We do still have dryness showing up here in the western portion of the plains. In addition, though, in fact, even more of a worse type of area. Look at this whole idea, this whole Mississippi River on up through Ohio River Valley. It's actually even worse here than in the plains. So going back, that's right where the soft red Chicago contract is planted. So keep this in mind here. So at least we're starting off on a bad note as far as this weather situation going into planting. In terms of actual recent, this short-term crop moisture index, this actually doesn't have any problems here for the plain states. It does have some problems for the soft red contract, which is kind of interesting to see here. So we've got some problems, but at least for right now, the 6 to 10 days, so not only this week, but even for next week as well, this shows below normal precip is lined up for all this area here for the soft red contract. So it's interesting to see right now. We do have some problems with the hard red contract, but in addition, it's actually a little worse here for the soft red Chicago contract. In terms of crop conditions, what USDA puts out, last Monday they had their very first look at crop conditions, good to excellent. And as it says here, this is the very worst start since 1992 for any winter wheat grading. Worst start since 1992. So keep that in mind here. What I'm going to do here is in the next day, hopefully this afternoon, I'm going to work on some studies actually looking at this whole idea of does this horrible start actually impact yields that much? Because we all know for wheat, the biggest thing to point out is getting those rains actually once we get through the winter and start into April rains are the biggest determinant of yield. But we'll have some new studies out on this whole yield issue here, what this means, hopefully this afternoon, but certainly by tomorrow here. So for wheat, that's the kind of picture. It shows we do have some problems, and we have an underlying tone of price support we're going to point out. For corn, I don't really have much to speak of except just updating these Community Traders reports this morning. I noticed as far as the blue line, the trading funds, the managed guys who go both long and short, it kind of stabilized their position in the past 2 weeks. What is interesting, look at this light blue line here. This is the index funds. It's kind of interesting to see we have wholesale liquidation of the index guys for a few weeks now. And that's actually pretty sharp decline. For the past year, for the past 2 years almost, you don't get any of those type of declines here of any magnitude. So this is a little surprising. What's also interesting is this is not the case for the beans or wheat. It's in the corn that we're seeing large-scale index liquidation. In terms of next week's report for corn, we are going to drop, we've got a small drop in yield by about 0.8 bushels. Takes off 68 million bushels here for production. And we do have that offset by a problem with exports. We all know exports have been a problem. But the main thing I want to point out is we're still supportive on the corn. We do have a drop in ending stocks lined up for next week's report, 902 down to 882. So for corn, we're still keeping our bullish viewpoint here in the big picture. For soybeans, I just want to point out a couple things on this South American situation here. This is percent of normal precip for the month of September. We don't have any updated ones here for October yet. But I just want to point out this is the same here for most of the summer. We do have in Brazil, Mato Grosso, the #1 bean state. We've got this underlying dry problems. Other areas, as you can see down through here, Brazil, where they grow the soybeans, are doing just fine. No problem. Argentina. Just want to point out that we finally got a change in this weather pattern this past weekend. Half inch to an inch fell, and there is more lined up here for Thursday and Friday. So we are seeing a change in the weather, and it is hitting even this dry area here for Brazil. So maybe that might act as a slight drag on beans. Maybe not make them go down, but may slowly kind of act as a little drag on the beans here. In terms of next week's report, we got nothing but good news. We've got a drop in ending stock, or an drop in ending stocks coming because we've done such a great job with all these Chinese buys. It's been tremendous. It's tremendously surprising here. We've been doing better than last year. So for beans, we've got a drop in ending stocks, 265 down to 229, lined up